Well, then let's hit the 5 shoe questions sponsored by Running Warehouse. This is a breakout over on YouTube as well. If you go to the Rambling Runner YouTube channel, you can be one of the dozens of people who watch these, which is always exciting.
Shout out to Connor. If he's listening, Connor from Running Warehouse. I'm shouting him out.
There you go. All right. So let's dive into the first question, which is, what is your favorite daily trainer currently?
Daily trainer currently. Right now, I mean, I am testing it right now, but I think it's going to be my favorite daily trainer of 2023. Skechers Go Run Ride 11.
Oh, see, you've been carrying Skechers water for a long time. I'm a big Skechers fan, and I appreciate you. You like Skechers more than anyone that believes in the run. I'm a big Skechers fan, so I'm so excited by this pick.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I literally don't care about the stigma. I know Skechers is the least cool brand of all time. Their logo needs to be burned to the ground and just not even rise like the Phoenix. Get it out of here. And but they make great shoes. The Max Road 5 still one of my favorite shoes of all time. The Go Run Ride 11 is like the Max Road 5, but with a better upper and just a better shoe. Not as much roll because there's more rubber. It's just kind of like the Max Road 5 and the like broken up midsole where you kind of like rolled a lot smoother. This is more of a, I don't want to say blocky. It's a little bit more of just like, yeah, you don't get that roll through the stride, but the feeling of it is amazing. It's so nice.
See, I was a huge fan, still am, of the Ride 10s. I would say that the upper wasn't quite as dialed, I could imagine, especially for wide-footed folk. In addition, I could see people who like higher stack shoe not quite liking the stack height in the forefoot, but I thought that shoe was absolutely fantastic and easily could have been in this category that we were talking about. How would you compare the 10 to the 11?
I didn't run in the 10. What's funny though is that that's the shoe. Pretty much anyone that starts running, that's like, hey, what shoe should I buy? I always tell them Skechers Ride. Everyone always loves it. So it's one of those shoes that's very, at least in the past, it's like it'll pretty much fit in anyone who's starting out running is gonna put that shoe on and be like, oh, this is a really nice running shoe, And it's not gonna mess with their stride. It's just gonna be a good running shoe. So I always feel like that's like, if I'm ever telling anyone to buy a running shoe to start out, get this Skechers Ride. And then this version is just, they added more foam. The midsole, it's their Hyperburst Ice, which is so bouncy. It's so nice, not unstable. The upper, they finally have a nice upper on this shoe, which is like I've been hoping for decades. It seems like, but it might be a little too much for the summertime, but it's super comfortable. It actually fits your foot properly. There's no baggy materials or anything like that. It's nice. You get a great lockdown, and I'm like, finally, Skechers has figured out how to build an upper despite having 100,000 different shoes that they ripped off the patents from other companies. Like, they finally figured out how to make an upper on a running shoe. Yeah, and I think it's just a really nice shoe. And it's like $130, something ridiculous. Yeah.
There you go. And they always last because they always have that Goodyear rubber on the bottom, which is always like, I've never had an issue with ever.
Yeah, no, it's great. No problem with that. So
Second
yeah, I would
question.
say that's my daily trainer of the moment. Yeah, I also like the On Cloud Surfer, which is wild because I've hated On for so long, but the Cloud Surfer.
I couldn't believe it. I just wanted you to keep the bit going, Robbie. I wanted you to keep the bit going for the entire tenure of your time of leaving the run as like the in-house On hater.
Trust me, and it's not like something I enjoy doing. I've always rooted for them to do well because I always thought their shoes looked cool. Like I could tell a lot of thought goes into their design and stuff. And I always said if they could just lose that speed board and kind of figure it out, and they did. So they lost the speed board, softened up the foam, and it's a really nice shoe. And I think they're really, and we just got the Cloud Boom Echo 3 in, so I'm interested to try that out.
Oh yeah, I talked to Tommy Runs yesterday, and he wore it at a recent race, and he was like, "Oh my god, this shoe's great." He loves it.
Yeah, I mean, it's P-Vax midsole with plays. It's gonna be good.
For sure. All right, second question. You've already hinted at it already in this show. What's your favorite race day shoe?
Yeah, if I had to pick right now, it would be Racing the Hoke at Rocket X2. That being said, I did love the Adios Pro 3 by Adidas when it ran it at the Boston Marathon. Thought it was really nice. The only issue and I don't know if this is true or not, I did a 20-mile long run in the week before, and it had like a weird thing going on, like the ball of my foot, like behind my second toe, and then it like kind of went away during the week, and then cropped up again after the race, and basically that's why I took the time off. And I was a little nervous. I don't know if it was a shoe or just whatever.
Robbie, I'll tell you, I had that exact same issue in the Adios Pro 2.
Did you?
In my left foot. So like, so you run on capped roads, like for me, like my left foot would be my, like the one that's kind of like getting more of the weight if like you run on a capped road.
Right.
Anyway, my right foot, no problem. And Lightstrike Pro is my favorite foam. Same. The left foot, after my first run, didn't happen the first run, my second run and every run thereafter, I had a pain in a very similar spot, and it had to have been from the rods.
So I think you're right because, okay, so I'm not crazy. And here's why I think I am right, and you're right too, is that I told you how the Boston 12 has the same rod configuration and everything, plate. So my foot's been fine for a few weeks now. And so I'm testing out the Boston 12, and I ran in it 6 miles in it, and then I was doing like 4 miles in it yesterday, and I could tell like it was about to start hurt. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like I was like, it didn't hurt yet, but I was like, I can tell something's like going on. Where if I run, like say I do a long run in the shoe, I feel like it's going to come back. And I think that's why, because their rod, what the configuration of that plate and rods is, it comes up like almost like a claw. And I think it's where the plate ends / rods end are like right there where your foot lands. It's like right at the base of your toes, kind of. And I think it, depending how the shoe fits you or whatever, that if you're landing on that for 20 miles, 26 miles, and maybe, maybe it's like you're not used to it either. So if like me, out of the box, you take it for a 20-mile run, maybe not the best idea.
Well, I think it also, like, the metaphor I was using for it was like, you can see someone like walk on like a bed of nails, right? Because the pressure is dispersed on all of the nails. You're like, oh my God, there's a million nails. How can you walk on all a million nails? Like, well, I can walk on it because there are a million nails, and the pressure is dispersed on all of them. Whereas like, I can't just walk on one nail. It's going to go right through my foot.
Right.
So it's like, that's how I viewed it. Again, that's an extreme metaphor here, but like, that's how I kind of viewed it, like the plate versus the rods, where it's like, I'm hitting this rod in a kind of just a naturally different manner than I would a plate, which is going to disperse the force.
Yeah. And I mean, honestly, now that you say that, I feel like maybe that's, so in the first two versions of the Adios Pro, so the third version is a different plate than the one you're talking about, but it's still similar. So and this might be why they did it. The third version has more of like a cohesive unit to it. There's still the rods, but it has, at least in the heel, it has like it's not just rods set in the midsole. It actually has like ties all together, almost like in a pretzel shape. And they said it kind of to disperse that. So I wonder if that's kind of part of it, is so the rods weren't so just like individualized that they could disperse the energy throughout the plate. And also I think they had a problem with a lot of those rods breaking. So
that's too bad.
I don't know for sure, but I definitely seen I think Kafuzi broke a rod in one of his.
That's right. Yeah, he did.
Yeah, I've seen several times when people have broken the energy rod.
I am not fast enough to break a carbon rod, unless I was like literally just trying to break it. Like if someone could put enough force to break in a rod, I think that's a great spot to be in. I want to now break the rods. I'd be like, look how much faster I've gotten. Look what I just did.
Yeah, totally. With all this torque and force I'm putting on the ground. So yeah, I don't know where. Oh, all I had to say, I really like that. I did like that shoe a lot, except for possibly that part of it. Um, yeah. Oh,
There you
okay.
go.
Continue.
All right, yeah,
I
it
forget.
speaks to the Light Strike Pro. That foam is just unbelievable. That it literally
Yeah,
can overcome some
and
of
I
these flaws and still be fantastic.
totally. And I might be. I was gonna say something else, but it might be your next question, so I'll hold off on it.
All right, next question is there a shoe that you got and you really wanted to like, you were super pumped about it, but ultimately it just didn't get on with you?
Uh, yeah, I would say. Uh, I would say feel like the Nike Zoom Fly is one of those um where you think everything should line up to be an awesome shoe, and then it's just a brick. Just like, man, that shoe is just not was not what I wanted. It looked so good. I think I'm talking about the Zoom Fly 4, and looked so good. Everything was just seemed like it was there that it needed to be. I feel like Nike does this a lot, actually. And then it just fell flat for me. I actually, you know what? The Nike Invincible is that for me for sure. Especially, I think both versions of the shoe, or I mean, all three versions of the shoe, I feel like are. It's like, yeah, it has a whole big thing of Zoom X. Step in feels incredible, and then it just feels flat. Like to me, it just feels like a block just running in it. I mean, I know people love that shoe, so it's just me personally for sure that it just that shoe I never really liked.
Yeah, that was my answer too. I did a solo one of these, and that was my answer. And it was because I think, especially if someone's like a 4 foot, mid-foot 4 foot striker, it just has a huge ass. Like you can't get away from it. Like if you're
Yeah,
a heel striker, it's like, oh, this is exactly what I've been waiting for. For me, it
yeah,
was like I have to like change my gait for my Easy Day shoe. Like no thanks. Like this is not gonna work.
and that is an interesting point, especially with shoe reviewing, is that depending how you strike, it's gonna feel a lot different. So I think when I first started, I used to be a heel striker, and now I'm midfoot, maybe a little bit heel, but pretty. I mean, in everything I've seen, I'm definitely more of a midfoot of all the footage and photos and everything. But definitely when I first started, I was more of a heel striker, and I think that might be because I like slowed down. I don't know. A couple years ago, I started like just slowing down my runs more, so I think that just helped me. I wasn't always just overstriding and stuff. But anyways, all I have to say, I feel like when we're reviewing shoes, that it's hard to put that in a review, but it does. The way you strike is going to make a huge difference on how a shoe feels. So just one of those things I guess you kind of have to deal with, but can't do
For
anything
sure.
about.
All right, let's talk about question number 4. The shoe, like your first love, the first running shoe that you're like, oh my god, this shoe is amazing. I always remember this shoe. For me, the classic example I always use is like Thomas talking about the Kinvaras of old. Like that's like my
Uh,
go-to example of what this question is.
yeah. So crazy enough, I only started running eight years ago, 9 years ago. Um, so the first shoe that ever was just like truly in love with would have to be the Nike Epic React, the first version. I felt like, and I don't know if that was the first shoe I fell in love with or the first shoe that just, it's still my all time favorite shoe, you know? And honestly, if it came out today, I probably wouldn't even be that impressed with it, but there's probably a little nostalgia factor in there, or rose colored glasses, but it's just everything. It's so simple. It's the one time a knit upper has actually worked on a shoe, in my opinion, or very few times. I feel like knit uppers can be super hit or miss, um, and it just fit the foot perfectly. And that's interestingly enough, that's a shoe I didn't like for the first say 25 miles or so, maybe even 50, like you were saying. And then I ended up falling in love with that shoe and wore it, 500 miles or whatever. And so that was my marathon, actually my marathon PRs in that shoe. So yeah.
There you go. Right? What a great way to end it. Like if you have like a marathon PR in one of those shoes, like even if it might not be a hit now, like it just shows how good it was. Also, like you have to put this stuff like in relative terms, right? Like
Right.
if you've only had like say you grew up in a house where they're like, hey, we only have frozen yogurt, but don't worry, it's the same as ice cream. And then like all of a sudden you're like 20 years old, you have ice cream for the first time. It might not be the best ice cream in the world, but you're like, holy cow, this is amazing. This is the best experience I've ever had.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Wait, was there one more question, or was that
There
the last
is
one?
one more. If
Okay.
price is no option, and I know you don't buy most of your shoes, but if price was no option for you, what shoe would you get in 2023? Obviously, these can include shoes that aren't quite on the market yet that you obviously know about.
Okay. Number one, Adidas Prime X Strung 2. Not even out yet. I haven't even tried it, but I could tell you that if you're going to spend money on anything, get that shoe. I've tried it. I tried it on at the running event, which in a size that was 2 sizes too big for me.
Was there a video of this? I feel like I saw like a quick Instagram video of you like
It was, but
hopping around.
they made us. Apparently, it was all under embargo, and no one told us, so we had to pull it down. And it was. If the shoe that they make is that too, which I see no reason why they wouldn't, it's gonna like change the running again.
Wow.
It's gonna be.
Wow.
It's so
what a
insane.
statement.
It's so insane. I honestly don't even know if it counts as running anymore. So that's all I'll say.
Okay.
It felt like, and we get so many shoes and everything's like, oh, this feels great. So but you never get a shoe that's like, this feels different than anything I've ever felt before. And I felt like one of them. So we'll see. Obviously that was kind of a not finished model of the shoe. So we'll see if it still feels like that when it comes to market. I think we're getting it soon. So.
Oh man.
I don't think it was coming till 2024, but it actually might be coming this year. So
this is super exciting.
Yeah, but honestly, that shoe might cost $400. I don't even know. It's this Prime X Strong one was $300. So
right.
I would see no reason why this wouldn't cost $350, especially because it has more components in it. So it could be $350, $400. I don't even know. But
what kind of components? I'm like trying to think like the wild stuff. There's like an AI chip that like connects to your Bluetooth, tells you how to run better. It's like no,
it's
glutes.
Not anything new like that, but it's just a different configuration. That if you thought other shoes were illegal before, it's gonna blow that out of the water. But
so it's like Adidas Prime Strung 2 wheelie. Get the wheelies in there.
That's obviously I would buy that. It has rails. It's like soap shoes for 2023. But I would say, yeah, that's definitely one of them. And then, what's another one that I was thinking of? Honestly, the Diadora Atomo V7000 is one of my favorite shoes. Not necessarily for running. It's a decent running shoe, but it's my favorite, like, casual walking shoe. And but it can be, you can wear it for running, and it's totally fine. It's a good running shoe. But they're made in Italy, so it's $240. So out of most people's price range, just for a casual runner, like daily training / walking shoe. But I think they look awesome, and I love the shoe. I probably wear that shoe more than any other shoe that I have. So I would just in general, like, we'll put that on there.
I love it. Robbie, thank you so much for coming on the show. This was a blast. If people want to learn more about you or the things that you're doing over the Believe in the Run, where should they go?
Well, obviously, follow us on all our channels, Instagram, website. We have a podcast as well called The Drop. It's all three of us host it. It's a good time. Not that much about running, so don't get your hopes up. Mostly about BS going on in our lives and then some running. And then we have a weekly email. Again, I rate the ending to that every week. Follow me at Norm4Runner at Instagram. I picked the name a long time ago. Don't charge me for it. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I think those are mostly the things. Mainly follow Believe in the Run. You can pretty much find anything around relate it to tangentially. Uh,
All right, you're the man. Thanks again, Robbie.
Thanks, dude.